topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Hello and welcome to It's Your Voice, this show that hosts enriching conversations in diversity. My name is Bahia Yaxan. I am a core alignment coach and a diversity educator, which means I train and coach individuals and organizations in identifying patterns that are not serving them or others well so that they can develop new patterns of habits that will include more people, encourage more people, give themselves more clarity, and align their actions or policies, decisions with their values to lead happier lives. If you're interested in looking at anything I do with coaching and training, you can check out my website, which is called Know What You Want Coaching.wordpress.com. I also tailor, so those are just samples of the things I do. And I really love coaching. It's very energizing and very motivating. Today we have the great fortune of having Sandy Holman return. She was on the show last week and the conversation was just getting going. We were getting a lot of calls and we're bringing her back by popular demand. We kept the same title. We're just calling it part 2, When Evil Seems to Be Winning, the Power of Connection During Uncertain Times. Sandy, thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate your presence.
No, it's my pleasure to be back, and thank you for having me.
I wanted to, before we continue, because I just want to mention like the titles of even just a couple of your books and of your documentary, just so people know that I mentioned last week you're an author, you are a documentarian, you're a social change agent, you've been educating people for years as an amazing, compassionate consultant. But I just wanted to ask you to just maybe name just say the titles of a couple of your books, which are beautiful, and I just want the world to see them.
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be here, and I want to thank Bahia and the people who help her do this wonderful show for all that they do. I really want to start right off the bat by encouraging people to support her with a donation, because these kinds of podcasts have become even more important as legacy media is being impacted significantly and the stories that they are allowed to tell. So please, if you want to make a difference, as we talk about combating evil, when evil seems to be winning, one incredible thing you can do is support local shows like Bahia's podcast here. It's Your Voice, and also Davis Media Access. I'm a big fan of that group as well. So any independent media sources who are not under the auspices of corporate media in particular. So that's one thing I want to say right off the bat. I am excited to be here. I have been doing systemic change work most of my life, over 40 years plus. I've been a part of the Yolo County community as long as that, but my work has reached beyond the Yolo County community regionally, nationally, and even internationally. This work is very critical to me, and we use a paradigm for transforming individuals, communities, systems, and beyond to really start to lay the groundwork for doing systemic change work, something unfortunately we have not done. And so in many cases, we've had Band-Aid improvements, which are easily ripped off depending on the leadership that we have in our country and our world. We're seeing that as we speak. So we use books because literacy is really important, and the arts. Some of our books are Grandpa Is Everything Black Bad? That is a worldwide problem in how we see melanated or darker skin. It manifests in different ways in many countries, and it's a direct result of supremacy ideology in sculpturing how we see ourselves. We also have a book called We All Have a Heritage. So excited about that because people do all have a heritage. We're not just black or white or brown. We all have root cultures, and in fact, everyone's initial root culture is African. Before you spanned out over the world and became who you are today, your root culture is African. I have a book called Love is the Root of All People. You're not the ultimate hat, which has to do with the importance of graduating, and several others on the stove cooking, so to speak. We also write things, papers and blogs and things to make people think and to inspire them. And I have the privilege of interacting with countless people, thousands over the years, who have taught me so much, and especially my incredible interns, many of whom come from UC Davis, but many have come from all over different parts of the world. In a nutshell, that's what I do. But this topic today, when evil seems to be winning, is very important to me. And I really appreciate you, Bahia, for inviting me back to continue to talk about that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sandy. I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of one more book title. Do I have it right? Is it Grandma Says My Hair Has a Flare?
Yeah, Grandma Says Our Hair Has Flair. We have another one called Pieces for People. We have Books for a Just, Humane, and Loving World. There's so many things. I'm hoping that the angels of the world help me get out while I'm still living. So I'm excited about all the possibilities. Always have more we want to do than the time we have to do it. But yes, that is another one of my favorite. And by the way, all these books have music with them. We did a play called the Sankofa Experience, which relies on these books, which are aimed toward helping people who've been marginalized with a lot of anti-Blackness, supremacy ideology, but also mainstream people to understand the importance of our common roots in humanity. So I'm really proud of what I've been allowed to do with these tremendous youngsters, which is one of the best ways to address evil and keep your spirits up while you're doing it. That's been one of the most incredible experiences for me. So if you don't mind, Bahia, I was going to give a brief review of some of the things we talked about. Um, I have been waking up in my meditation time, which I was encouraging all of you to do. I use a prompt or book with questions. I'm going to share a couple of those later in this broadcast. I use guided meditations. I use deep breathing. You don't have to be an expert meditator to start your day getting your download for what your assignment is in your living. We talked about how everyone has an assignment based on where you're at with your health, your life, your age, your talents. All of us have an assignment to address what we're seeing today. And since we're talking about evil, it is particularly important that we be in touch with our assignment. So, one of the things we talked about that is mandatory at this time is finding some time to be absolutely still. And stillness is something that's antithegonal to what we've all been taught to do. We tend to equate busyness with production, but actually, it often leaves us in a chaotic state of mind. And when things that are happening rapid fire, that are hurting us, affecting our lives, are going on, that busyness becomes an extreme detriment. So, we talked about being still. So, I want to invite everyone right now even to take a deep breath with me, just to take a deep breath. We did it last week. This is simple. It only takes a few seconds. So everyone take a deep breath in through your nose to the count of 4. Breathe in and blow out to the count of 6. Really blow that air out of your lungs. I want to ask you to take one more. It's one of the most valuable things we can do. Take a deep breath in. And blow out through the count of 4, 5 actually, and 6. Really blow the air out. And just relax your shoulders and be present with us for a few minutes as we have the opportunity to be with you. And I am extraordinarily honored. I don't take this for granted. I want to start off with a disclaimer saying Sandy Holman does not have all the answers. I do not have all the solutions. What works for me may not work for you. And that part of this is customizing it to yourself. But there are some overlapping things that I think we all need to consider and all need to connect to and each other if we're going to have some success here. So I want to start off by saying that. So I think I shared last week, I woke up really pondering evil. It seemed everywhere I was turning, I was hearing about evil, evil being done by leadership, by people, all over parts of the world, people starving, people not having enough water, all the things that I don't need to repeat here. And I found myself a little bit in a quandary. And during my meditative alone time, which I recommend you start in the morning before the day gets away from you. And it can be 5 minutes, 15 minutes. I've done as long as about an hour and a half, but I'll tell you what that includes. I get up and I do some prayer, whatever that means to you. Everyone has their own intentionality around their creator or not. Some of you believe in nature and love and all of that. For me, I believe in what I call God. And so I'll do some prayer. I will request from my ancestors who have crossed over to the other side that would you please download what I am supposed to be doing on this day? I'll ask God the same thing. What am I supposed to be doing on this day? Because days are going by faster and they're getting away from us. I was particularly wanting to ask this question because I have experienced, as I mentioned last week, a plethora of deaths. In 2026, I think we're up to 8 deaths, and these were some key people in my living, and I found it quite crushing to not even be having the chance to properly address each person as they crossed over. There's things I like to do that help me grieve, that help me have closure, that help me stay the course. And also, being challenged with various health challenges, I was reminded that how critical this centering time where you're being still in the morning and taking care of yourself is critical. So I pray. I make sure I have a reasonably healthy meal. I go for a walk. I watch something positive. I ask for the download for the day. What's my assignment for today? I actually will spend some time reflecting on that. And then I make a list for myself of things intentionally that I would like to accomplish. I want to encourage each of you to do the same. It is centering. Just taking a couple deep breaths brings me back to myself. I've had some miraculous downloads, I put in quote, come to me. My documentary, The Cost of Darkness, came out of this time. My books mostly have come out of this time. The music that accompanies those books has come out of this time. Ideals for not feeling overwhelmed with life has come out of this time alone. So, one of the biggest things you can do when evil seems to be winning is come back to yourself. Most of us are jumping into our day. We don't really have a plan. We're going to meetings even and not knowing why we're really going to them, what's the purpose of them. We're just moving, not breathing, not noticing what's going on around us. So something that came out of my still time, for example, was today, every unhoused person I'm going to see, I am going to at least say hi. And in my case, because I carry around resource sheets with numbers and I usually carry around snacks and water, I am going to make sure I do that for every person on this day. I actually try to do it most days, but the reality is I can't do it to everyone all the time, but sometimes I make it an intentional thing. That still time and you coming up with ways to express this second thing, which is extreme kindness. Because everyone thinks you have to do these big, big things in order to be making a difference. And actually, connecting with people and those small things have a ripple effect. So, you in your alone time, whether you're walking or dancing through a song or listening to music, whatever your meditation experience is going to be for you, and one of my colleagues who I have tremendous respect for, her name is Andrea. She does grant writing, and as well as she has another venture where she's sharing reflections and poetry. And I actually want to just quickly read something that connects to the topic that she wrote here recently. And that was this sense of, and something I believe in and I've spoken on a lot of myself, is the fact that we need people during this time more than ever. We need people during this time. You cannot be isolated and stay healthy during this time. Some of us are introverted, and that's okay for us to do, but we need people. And I'm just going to read a part of this. She wrote, "Will someone help me carry this?" And that's my question to all of you. Are you allowing people to help you carry all that you're experiencing, or are you carrying it yourself? I've been in both situations, and I can tell you when I have people to help me carry things, it is, I'm not going to say it's easier, but it's much more comforting. And she wrote, "Communities become infrastructure when care moves from a feeling into action." And that's what's missing for a lot of us, is we have all these feelings, but there's no action to go with it. And we can show our care for ourselves with action, giving ourselves that 5 to 15 minutes or more in the morning before the day gets away from you, being kind and helping someone who needs a jump on the side of the road or who's looking like they had a rough day, and you just run up and give them a positive affirmation card and leave before they pull you in. It's simple things like that. She says, recognition helps us become visible to one another. Trust allows us to return. Care is what happens next. Care is the meal left on a doorstep after surgery. She goes on to give a few examples. So as we combat evil, we don't have to be doing things that impact millions of people. It's those little things, starting with ourselves, our self-care. And I'm not just talking about manicures and pedicures and facials and massage. That is all well and sublime and beautiful. I'm talking about that internal self-care where you're washing out your worries, you're addressing your anxieties, maybe your depression, maybe your sadness because someone has crossed over, or many people, like in my case, have crossed over this year alone. Maybe it's sitting still and breathing, even though it's very hard and uncomfortable for you to do because you've been in perpetual motion. So I can't say enough about that still time, because part of the assignment of that still time is overtime once you get comfortable doing it. And it may take 30 days or more for you to start being able to sit still even for 5 minutes. You will start to notice what your assignment is, because we all have an assignment. And I mentioned last week that joy, intentionally including joy in your day and in your week, is a form of powerful resistance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure you have joy, because we've been taught that because so many people are suffering, how dare you have joy? Not realizing it's part of our salve for healing ourselves so we can help those people who are suffering. So get rid of any guilt and intentionally incorporate joy, and I mean massive joy. So to fill up your tank so you can pay it forward to people who are going through it much worse than even you or we are in many cases, especially from a global perspective. However, when you combine having some joy with getting in touch with your personal assignment for what you're supposed to do in life, and then taking your personal assignment and actually out in the community doing some of your personal assignment, it's like a knockout in a boxing ring towards evil. The more good you do, I'm serious, it's like a full on knockout. Having joy for yourself
Yeah.
is a poke at the belly of evil. I said that last week. But
Yes.
taking your joy, being in touch with your mini or larger assignments, and connecting with people to share it, that's a full on knockout. Every time you are doing something in your purpose, you are a KO knockout towards evil. That's a goal that I have. Anything, any light that I can bring into myself, and it's much needed. Again, I go through a lot of pain and suffering too, everyone. So I'm not speaking like it's another person. And I told you what my situation is even now. But these practices are helping me to survive it. And dare I say, even thrive in
Mm.
certain moments when I should not. So this is real stuff. So another thing in that meditation time, that still time, is getting in touch with the fact that you have a gift. Bahia has a gift here with this podcast. She also does anti-bias work, diversity awareness. She does so much that helps to pull the scabs off of people's eyes so that they can see another layer of thing that they may be missing, right? And this is critical during this time. And I want to add this not as a you must do, but a reality. There are many things that we can see, and there's so much that we cannot see. And if you are sitting on your talents, if you're not doing something, you don't have to do everything, but you have to do something. You're going to be experiencing a sort of cognitive dissonance, an unsettling, a dis-ease within
Mhm.
yourself over time that is going to grow. And if you're feeding it negative social media, news all the time, things we know increase anxiety and depression, and combining that with isolation, you're going to get yourself in trouble. So the great news is by pulling the scab off of that stuff, reducing social media, how much you watch the news, doom scrolling by at least 50%, you'll still be able to stay in touch. And then taking your gift and intentionally combining it with some creative joy you've had for yourself and going out into the world to make a difference. That could be you singing in front of a few people who love music. That could be you feeding the unhoused. That can be you knitting blankets to donate to a food service to give out to people. That can be you just smiling and saying hi and thank you. That could be you going up to someone who feels invisible and saying, I want you to know I see you today and you look amazing. Someone came up to me recently and said, I am loving the purple. And I have to wear a mask because I'm compro-immunized. And they said, and I love the sparkly mask you wear. Instead of saying, why are you wearing a mask? Which is, it was just a whole different kind of energy that hit me at a moment
Mm.
when I was thinking about a beloved who crossed over recently. It just perked me right up. They said that,
Mhm.
they were gone, and it was just like someone injected a little bit of something in me. And
Mm.
I want to say this to you all. Whenever I do a kind act, whenever I say it must be rough to the person who's been rude to me, even called me out of my name, and yes, that happens,
Mm.
or cussed at me, and I say, I hope the day gets better for you. And it disarms them in the moment as I walk away.
Mm.
That is
It's powerful.
poking at the belly of evil, or dis-ease or people's anger, which there is a lot of out there. So we talked about being still, getting in touch with your assignment. Not everyone's assignment is the same size. Some people have a small assignment because they're bedridden, and maybe their assignment is just to write get well cards or I'm thinking of you cards to people. Yes, even when you are off your feet and cannot move your body, if you have a voice, that could be you speaking over a phone. I usually text about, I don't know, anywhere from 15 to 30 people a day, a positive message. I used to do it every day, but now I give myself some days off and just channel it all back toward myself, which is an okay thing to do too. But it's amazing how many texts I've gotten back saying, how did you know I needed this message at this time? I even had someone again, I gave the example of someone who was suicidal and how Kamika, who is an amazing BSU advisor, gave me pizzas. I've had the same thing from a text. How did you know I needed this text right now? I was thinking of leaving. That's actually happening more than I like to hear. So again, we all have assignments. Nelson Mandela had a supernova assignment. Those people at that level, there's great cost to what they do. And I said that before, but most of us are not called to that level of assignment where our lives are constantly in danger, or we're incarcerated, or we're suffering as we try to make global change, or regional change, or country change. Most of us have medium or smaller assignments. So finding your assignment, and it doesn't mean forever and ever, just for now, during this particular time, is one way to connect with people and to make a difference as we're facing so much evil. Some of you have the gift of inspiration. Some of you have the gift of teaching. Some of you have the gift of hip hop. Some of you have the gift of just giving the best bear hugs. Oh my God, I got a bear hug from someone recently that just crushed my soul with love. Some of you have the gift of a beautiful smile or your energy. But whatever your gift is and whatever your assignment is, I want to challenge you to use it. And you may be thinking, well, how's that little thing going to make a difference with all this stuff that's happening? I think about the teachers who are in the classrooms day after day teaching that kid who's going to grow up and be in a powerful position or influential position, or maybe become our next senator or congressperson. I think about the person who's mentoring a kid and talks to them about the medical profession, and that kid starts getting interested, and then they eventually decide they want to be a nurse or a doctor or something like that. I think about the women knitting quilts to help someone, and someone witnesses that generosity and decides they want to start doing something to help people who don't have enough food to eat. It has a powerful, invisible and visible ripple effect when you connect and center yourself with what you're supposed to be doing. I want to say this, and I don't want to be morbid about it, but several of the people I recently lost did do that. The oldest that I recently lost was 111. Her name was Mother Holman Robinson. She was the matriarch of my church that I attend. She literally just passed away. Her birthday would have been in July. She would have been 112. One of the most wise, powerful people I've ever met in my life, living history. And she was one of those people that was pretty anchored and knew that she was here, she would say, to serve God. That's all she wanted to do. It served her very well. And she prayed to live to 100, and she said, God gave me bonus years I did not want. That's how centered she was. She was like ready to go not long after she turned 100, but got an extra 11 years. But then I also think about the person who had key work left undone that passed away. And envisioning in spirit during my meditation time some of the regrets that that person may have had. Although I think once we're on the other side of things, our whole earthly makeup and how we see our world is different for us. And a lot of that stuff leaves us, thankfully. I do think there is a sense of regret that can happen as you're inching toward your potential deathbed. And I have been in situations myself wondering if I was going to get out of the hospital and had plenty of time to sober up and think. I'm thankful for those gifts. Each of you should have one where you make it out of it so you get real with yourself. Um, I want to encourage everyone as we think about combating evil to stop your random busyness.
Mm.
Busying ourselves with things that really do not matter. We think they do. We think the world's going to end if we don't do it, or things are going to collapse if we don't do it. Every single one of us is replaceable. Every single one of us. And having been at the deathbeds of many people in my living, not a one of them, and I mean not one, has said to me, I wish I would have worked a lot more. I wish I would have worked many more hours. They said things like, when I get out of here, and some of them didn't, I'm going to go to that baseball game I've always wanted to see in San Francisco. I'm
Mm.
going to slow down more and smell the roses. I'm going to spend more time with my family, which I've taken for granted. And several of those people never got out of there. That was their farewell journey. Um, if I died tomorrow, and I always feel like I'm always kind of on alert because of my health challenges, I will know I've done my best to live an intentional life. We always want a little more life if we can have it, and we always have possibly a project that we may not finish. But so many of us, based on how we're living now, would be absolutely regretful how we're whizzing through our days trying to be everything to everyone, thinking that we are the only ones who can do what we do, seeking the latest thrill for doing something good. In other words, people pleasing and people offering to the extent where it's not healthy for you. I want to encourage you to stop that and ask yourself, if I only had, I know people have pondered this question, if I only had a week, what would I be doing? And that needs to start becoming, whatever your answer is, it needs to start becoming a part of your day. Um,
Mm.
Another thing we talked about is, again, I'm going to say we don't have to do everything, but we have to do something. And we also, that maximum level of self-care, but that internal self-care, which includes emotional, social, mental, and whatever spiritual means to you. There are things we can't see, but trust me, I have experienced enough in my life. I call them little miracles that have taught me that this is not it. You don't know me, and so you're going to have to take my word for it, but this dimension is not it. In fact, I've been trying to live my life more as if people are watching, because in my cultural traditions, your ancestors and your creator God are watching you and what you do. Um, and so you can ask yourself, would I do this if someone was watching? And if there are things that you are doing that you wouldn't do if someone was watching, it's probably a good idea to consider stopping those things. And that we all need people. So I have a little bit of an acronym for people. This is
Okay.
one of the biggest things um, that you can do to combat evil is realizing that connecting with people by itself is a serious jab at the forces of negativity, evil,
Mm.
and diminishment of humanity. Because if we can be kept disconnected from each other, if we can be fighting because you're different than me, If I can hate you for some contrived reason that's been fed to me by the internet, Facebook, social media, the news, if I can keep you rolling in the nasty sauce of fear, then I have already 70% gotten towards my goal, if this was my goal, and there are people who have this goal, to collapse communities, to
Mm,
collapse countries, to collapse movements, to
mm,
collapse love. So we need people. You deciding that you're going to connect with someone is huge. So people, the P in people stands for the fact that you have a purpose and power. This is essential if you're going to fight evil or just stand up against dark forces or negativity. Uh, we have a purpose and that gives us power. Each of us has been given something that gives us power. The E stands for education and elders. We have elders who are walking libraries who can teach us so much. This is not the first time we're seeing these kinds of things. And for many different cultural groups, they have been seeing this stuff nonstop. I would say mainstream society is seeing things that maybe they haven't experienced as much as other marginalized groups have. But our elders can teach us what they did to survive and to plant seed for a different future, for a transformative future. And that E also stands for elevating others. You don't have to work hard to do this. I can just look at Bahia and say, thank you. Thank you, Bahia, for being who you are. And maybe that will elevate her a bit, maybe not. But the chance is there because I've planted that seed and I really, really mean it. And thank you, Bahia, for that. The
thank
O
you.
in people stands for only you can live your life. Own who you are and who you want to be. And I've struggled with this myself. Again, I am not absent from these things that we are talking about. These are things I've learned in my living from my elders, from ancestors, from my own life experiences on the front line. We have to own who we are. If you are a cancer patient, you have to own the fact that you have an extra obstacle to overcome, but don't give up and fight it with all your heart. If you are someone like me who's lost way too many people in her community, in her personal life, in her family, I have to own that, but decide that I'm going to be a survivor and be here as long as I can to do good and to add my light in their honor as well as mine without putting weights on myself to do that. I have to own that in order to overcome that. If you are brilliant and you're afraid to share your brilliance because you've been taught as a female to be humble, or a person of color to not speak your truth because no one cares, you've got to own that so you can circumvent that and rise to a higher place. The other P in people stands for problems. Most of us have them. And here's the good news: most of them can be solved, especially when we connect with people and work together. A lot of the problems that we think we have, we're experiencing them twice because we're worrying about them. And some of them never even come to fruition, right? We're worrying about them. And then if they do come to fruition, we're experiencing them. But most problems can be solved. And if we're getting a steady diet of negativity, and experiencing it ourselves, we can start to believe it's not if we're not connecting with people. L, my favorite, is to remember that love is a superpower. Love is the antidote towards evil. Let me say that again. Um, Love is the only reason I'm still here, along with
Mm,
my creator, my God. Um, I am a walking miracle.
mm,
Love helps me not to hate others who are even hateful towards me. Love in action splits open that evil beast
mm,
because it can't stand to be around anything loving. I want to say that. We give off energies and all of that. You've all been around the person that gave you chills up your back because something was off. And then you've been around people where when you're around them, something makes you feel better. They have an energy about them, a love essence coming off of them. It's a real thing, especially when you put it in action. So I have an acronym for love I'm not going to go over today, but it is a superpower, a superfood for your health, a super antidote for evil or negativity or anything ickish. And E, I want to encourage you guys all to eat healthy as you can. We live in an addictive society intentionally designed to make us eat and do behaviors that are antithegonal to us living a long lives. In our foods, the
True.
drugs, are the activities we do, the behaviors we do. Um, it is designed, and in certain neighborhoods worse than in others, where they have liquor stores and junk food and food deserts, and it's almost near impossible that someone's going to come out of that healthy just because of the proximity of it and the
Hmm.
addictiveness of those types of items. So I want to
Hmm.
encourage you all, that E in people, as we connect, to be healthy. You cannot do your assignment. You cannot enjoy your life. You cannot fight the good fight to help others if you don't have your health or you have greatly diminished health. You can still do things. I'm living proof of that. I don't let it stop me. I still do things, but it is a billion times harder. And I do want to say some health woes that we're experiencing are out of our control. Maybe you were exposed to a chemical that caused the C word, or some environmental pollutant or something that caused a problem, or a virus or something. But thankfully, blue zone research and research in general says many, 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 many things that we're dealing with health wise are directly related to a poor diet, lack of sleep, tremendous amounts of stress, lack of self care, busyness, and all things that aren't good for your health. I'm not going to judge anyone because this is a struggle for most people in some way or form. And you have to find the thing that works for you. But I encourage you to Google Blue Zone research because they
Hmm.
share why all over the country in certain zones, they call them blue zones, where people are living to 90 and 100 and pretty healthy, a 90 and 100 plus, the behaviors that they have in common that are helping them to do that. I'm aspiring to do as many of those as I can. I fall short often, but that's the goal. So Blue Zone research, they have, Latin America, there's a place, Europe, there's a place. In California, I think it's the Seven-Day Adventists who tend to do some of these behaviors. But researchers found commonalities that they all had that they felt had to do with extending the length of their lives and the quality of their lives. And again, I want to be fair and say a lot of us are dealing with things that are out of our control, but all of us have things that are in our control. And again, attacking stress, how we eat, eating less processed food, all the things you hear in the news. I'm not going to be the nutritionist for you because there's a lot of great research out there. If you want some referrals, you can email me and I can give them to you. Talking about them and doing it is a whole nother thing. And I'm on the journey
Hmm.
with you, but you can't do any of this stuff or connect with anyone if you're dead, right? And
Yeah.
and people are dying of strokes, heart attacks, all kinds of things that many, many, many of us can avoid just by making some simple changes. So people
Yeah.
is all about connecting with others so that you can not only poke at evil, do that knockout in the round of evil, and bring all those elements together to soften your living, to take the blocks we're carrying off our backs. You don't have to do this all at once. You can decide tomorrow, I'm going to drink 8 glasses of water because I keep hearing enough people say it that it must be a good thing. Or I'm going to eat at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables because enough different sources have said it, so it must be a good thing. I'm going to eat less sugar because enough sources are saying that it's like cocaine. In fact, in some cases, worse than cocaine as far as what it does to your body long term and what it
Hmm.
does as far as an addictive component. It could be simple, or I'm going to go walk around the block. That's all I can do. I can walk around the block. I'm going to start with that. Or I'm going to go to bed at 10 o'clock, yeah, I may not go to sleep, but I'm going to slowly start to train my body to go to bed an hour earlier so I can get at least 7 hours of sleep. Because enough people have said at least 7 hours of sleep is good for you. I'm going to stop eating fast foods because enough sources have said that fried chicken, those burgers, and all the grease and all of that are not doing most of us any good. It could be simple things, right?
Yeah. Well,
Right.
I'm going to interrupt you, Sandy, just so people who are listening and not able to see your email address streaming on the banner that Rebel said. I want to let people know if you want to contact Sandy, her email is info@cultureco dash op
.com.
com. It's culturecoop.com, but there's a dash between the CO and the OP.
And I just want to quickly share a prompter book that I talked about. Everyone wanted to know. I don't know if you can see it very well. It's called Life Work by Armani Easley. In my meditation time, sometimes I like some help, like I said, a guided meditation, but I'm going to open this book. This is a book that I recommend for everyone. It's brilliant. I did not write this book, so I'm not trying to, self whatever. But the first question that it asks, it gives you a question a day. This one says, which areas in your life are fully charged and which ones are running on low? And it gives you categories like family and friends, work and school, personal growth, health, fun. And you're supposed to fill in to the degree which one is doing well, which one is not doing well, and just reflect about it. The other one is, how much time are you spending in different areas of your life? Fun, health, sleep, eating. So the book is designed to take you one page a day or a few pages a week to slowly get in touch with yourself, because it starts to ask you questions about if you could do anything and didn't have to worry about money or time, what would you do? By the time you go through this book, and he has a part two now, again, it's called Life Work by Armoni Easley. You will have discovered a lot about yourself, your assignment, what you think you're supposed to do, and so forth. And so we talked about it. A lot of people had questions about that book. Also, a couple other quick resources, because I know our time is coming to an end here. I want to recommend 988 for anyone who is dealing with mental health issues. They actually are incredible. It's available nationally. If you're experiencing a crisis, a mental health crisis, or you just want to talk to someone, or even if you are feeling like you want to hurt yourself, 988 is a free resource that most people do not know about and is available to you. Sometimes we want to just talk to someone who's not someone we know. Another local resource, but also it's a national resource depending on where you live. Most states have it, is 211. You have to let them know what your jurisdiction is, your city, but they give referrals for resources. Maybe you're looking even for restaurants, or you're looking for housing support, or you're looking for counseling services, or you're looking for, places to go have fun. They do referrals on a variety of things. Those are two numbers that I highly recommend everyone have.
Can you repeat them again, please? The numbers?
So 988 is for just dealing with mental health issues. And by the way, we all have mental health issues at times. So there's no stigma attached to this. If you need to call and speak to someone because you're going through it, oh my gosh, please call. When I lost so many people over the years, this is not my first round of it. You bet you I was on the phone calling Yolo County Hospice to talk with someone who had dealt with multiple deaths. That one session was restorative for me. Okay. So 988 is for anyone. And if you haven't had one yet, at some point in your life, you're going to have mental overwhelming issues or challenges. 988. And then 211. And in our case, you would say 211 for Yolo County. And they are also like a referral. They give you referrals, I'm looking for counseling. I'm looking for housing. I'm looking for help with ... I'm looking for restaurants. I should be careful because it's been a little bit since I've called them, but I've given it to many unhoused people. I carry these numbers and others to share with them. There's a hate number actually for fighting if you've been the victim of hate. And I'll give that to Bahia since I didn't have time to grab that as I was coming today. And maybe on another show, she can show that to you. But you can go to our website and also find some additional resources on our website. And that's Culture Co-op.com. Our website is being changed, but there's basic information on there with other resources. Again, that's Culture, CULTURECO-OP.com.
Sandy Holman, thank you so much. That was beautiful. And I will recommend everyone to listen to this show. Thank you for the resources, the encouragement, the inspiration, bringing the books back that people wanted to really know more about last week, and sharing the titles of your books. And I just want to say your acronym again very quickly: people, P for purpose and power, E for education, elders elevating, O for only you can live your own life, own what you are, P, problems that can be solved, L for love, superpower, E for eating healthy and healthy practices. We are out of time. Sandy Holman, I'm so grateful to you. Thank you so much. Thank you, listeners and viewers, and our wonderful engineer Rebel and our producer Dean Piper. And may we all have enriching conversations this week, and tune in next week at 8 p.m. Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Talk4TV and W4CY.com. Thank you so much.
Don't give up. Thank you, Bahia, for all you do. Donate
Never
to
give up.
Bahia's show. Thank you.